everybody. Thanks for stopping by Killer Off-Road Hobbies, your one-stop shop for RC fun. Let's do this.
What's going on, everybody? Well, it's time. This is going to be the full review and my thoughts video on the 1/10 scale two-wheel drive Hpi Jumpshot MT Fuzion. Alright, so let's kind of go over this thing a little bit, and then I will give you pros and cons and let you know exactly what I think of this little guy. Alright, so with this thing you get a 540 size 2-in-1 brushless 2700 kV motor. So the motor and ESC is one thing. There is no separate ESC. The ESC is inside the motor can, making it a lot more convenient. You don't have ESC sitting up top or anything. You know, it's got all the weight mostly down, and from my experience, I did get it a little hot one time. Nothing that would damage it or anything. I was able to catch it in time. I think I got it up to 185 degrees, but besides that, it can run 2S only or a 7-celled nickel metal hydride pack that does come with this thing, and you get a trickle charger and you get this transmitter, but we'll talk about that stuff in 1 second. So on the provided nickel metal hydride pack, it leaves a lot to be desired. It's pretty lacking in power, acceleration, and everything. When you put a 2S LiPo in this thing, it's not the fastest thing out there. It topped out at 26 miles per hour, but it is fast enough to be a lot of fun. Alright, so like I said, it comes with a nickel metal hydride pack and a trickle wall charger. I didn't feel that was necessary to bring out here, but you do get this this nice ready to run remote with it that has a lot of adjustments. I have gone over and over this remote. It comes with pretty much anything you get from HPI. Reverse switches here in the front for all 3 channels. You do have endpoint adjustments right here that it comes with a little wrench inside the battery tray there. It does run on 4 AA's. From my experience, it has really good range, and it's just a really nice all-around ready to run transmitter. It has really grown on me, and I have started to really like this thing. You do have your 3rd channel button here and your steering trim, throttle trim, and dual rate for steering. Nice remote. I like it. You know, it's an acquired taste. It is kind of big. It does come with almost everything from HPI, but 4 AA's, good range, all that stuff. It is a decent remote. So getting to the truck, like I said before, this is a 1/10 scale 2-wheel drive monster truck. Pretty comparable to probably the Traxxas Bigfoot or Traxxas Stampede 2-wheel drive. This thing is basically just the Jumpshot MT that they released a while ago with the Fuzion motor, the 2-in-1 motor. You know, there's not a whole lot of bells and whistles with this truck, but we'll go over it. And you know, the body has held up pretty good. It did take some damage here on the back from, you know, kind of landing on the back.
Yes.
But in all, it's in still pretty good shape. It does have a crack right here, which I could fix with goop and drywall tape pretty easily. Besides that, it's been a good body, and it does look pretty cool, so kudos for that. Now getting to the truck, I mean, it is very, very simple. You have your your twin vertical plate chassis right here. They are aluminum. They're not composite or plastic. They are aluminum pieces. They are pretty thick, being looks like 2.5 millimeters. The servo that came with this is plenty. It's mounted vertically, and it steers. The steering's plenty for this little truck. The tires that it came with, I didn't have high hopes for these tires, but with the power and everything this truck has, you know, the modest power and everything, these tires do work pretty well, you know, considering what this thing is. And a two-wheel drive where I bash is, you know, not going to get much traction for the most part. So, you know, I think they did well, and I'm not rushing out to change them. I think they look nice. Like I said, they have a all-terrain design that works well on most surfaces that I've had this truck on. And I think the wheels and tires together look pretty cool. So besides that, you don't have much. You have this gigantic receiver box, like comically huge receiver box with the little receiver in there. And like I said, there's no ESC or anything to put up here. So all you have is this on and off switch. And then it does have a slipper clutch that can be adjusted with this nut right here. The spur gear is plastic, and it does come with a steel pinion gear, and it does have plastic body threaded shocks, so you can adjust your ride height that way, and a little bit of your spring dampening. Oh, that popped off. There we go. There, it's not making that noise. And then your battery tray is underneath here. That's pretty much it, the rundown of this truck. So let's go over some pros and cons. One pro about this truck is it flies excellent for a two-wheel drive monster truck. I didn't even know two-wheel drive monster trucks could fly as well as this.
Ooh, tail whip. I wouldn't think a two-wheel drive monster truck would fly that nice.
This thing is much better than the two-wheel drive Arma Granite I had. I did have the brushless, or I did have the brushed version. I made it brushless. I put a small castle system in it, and that truck proceeded to just kind of blow itself out with that brushless power. And it was the older version, so I could not get parts for it, and the new parts weren't compatible, so I ended up just getting rid of that as a parts truck. But I can tell you right now that this thing is 10 times better than that Arma Granite I had. Flying wise, just all around drivability, I like this design in this truck much more than that Arma Granite I had. Not to say that it's a far superior truck. I personally like it better. Okay, so another pro about this thing is the 2-in-1 motor. I do like that. I do like that I don't have to have an ESC somewhere and, you know, running wires and all of that stuff. That does make it pretty convenient, and like I said, it keeps the center of gravity down on the truck, so you don't have to mess with any of that stuff. And coming to the first con is I have no idea how to mess with this motor and ESC combo. So, you know, it's kind of, it is what it is. You know, if the motor was to go out, or the ESC inside of there would go out, you pretty much just have to replace the whole thing. I would have to replace the whole thing, because I'm not going to tear into the guts of this thing and try and figure out what's going on. I would just replace it with probably the same motor. Another con about this thing is I really don't like this battery tray. This battery tray is very inconvenient. It's hard to get in. You can't fit a very big pack in there. It does run a Tamiya plug, so I run a converter in there and a 2S LiPo with the wires and everything. It barely fits. And another thing is this little scoop right here Hopefully you guys can see that. Just gets a ton of stuff in there. If you're running in any kind of weeds or rocks or anything, they just shove up in there. And then you have to get all that stuff out before you can open your battery tray. So that would be a huge, probably my least favorite thing about this truck, period, is the battery tray. I really don't like it. Now, if you guys have watched my kind of running series on this truck, you will know that the first time I took it out, one of my turnbuckles broke just like really easily pretty early into the run, and I was pretty disappointed in this truck at that point. But since then, I put a smaller turnbuckle on here, and it has held up just fine. I even bought a set of the right size, but that thing's held up, so I'm just going to keep rolling with it until it pulls out or breaks or whatever, and then I'll take care of it from there. Another thing, I do like, the speed is good on 2S. I will say that. The speed is good. It's fun. It's a really fun speed. It's not going to break any land speed records. You know, for speed people, it's not going to be enough. But for like a relatively new basher, or a basher like me that just likes to go full throttle and just huck it off whatever, I mean, this truck has that in aces for sure. I mean, you can pretty much just take this truck full throttle and just drive around hitting jumps and stuff, running into everything, and it will take it, from my experience.
Where is it? There it is. I think it has enough power to really, ooh.
Like I said, I think that first turnbuckle was a fluke, because I haven't had one issue with this truck besides, you know, a couple of small things like the motor loosening up on me, which, you know, that's kind of going to happen. You can't really thread lock motors because the bolts that go in the motors, I mean, you can, but the motors get hot and they can loosen up that thread lock anyways. I did tear up my spur gear a little bit when my motor came loose, but I just remeshed it and it's been doing fine. I haven't had any problems outside of that first turnbuckle issue. So all in all, I'd say this truck is a pretty decent little platform, and for 250 bucks, it is definitely fun enough for the 250 bucks. Now I'm gonna get into the really bad things about this truck. So one bad thing about this truck is HPI is pretty questionable at this time as a company. And I don't know if buying anything from them right now is considered a good idea. I personally don't want to purchase any new HPI stuff or purchase any more HPI stuff for now, because it is literally almost impossible to get parts for this thing. Like I said, I had to buy a different vehicle turnbuckle, and it ended up being not too short, but it's not as long as I would like it. And I had to buy an Arma, what was it, Arma Fury set of turnbuckles that are the right size for this. So when you're looking at this truck, you know, if anything does go wrong, it's going to be simple to fix, but it's not going to be simple to find parts. And that's going to bring me to my conclusion on this truck. Do I like this truck? Yes, I do. I do like this truck, and I do think it's fun. I think it's a good platform, and I think it would work well for a seasoned hobbyist like myself, or for a newcomer, because like I said, you can just kind of pin the throttle even on 2S, which is the fastest you're going to get this thing to go, and it will take the abuse. On the downside of that, if you do end up breaking something, it's going to be extremely hard for you to find parts. So as far as this thing goes, would I recommend this truck? No, I wouldn't. And it's not the truck's fault at all. If it was just the truck and it had good part support and everything, I would absolutely recommend this. But with HPI being on thin ice for the last several years, and pretty much just teasing us with new things but not coming out with them, having no part support to speak of. I mean, basically being almost a phantom company anymore. I would have to say no to this. I would not recommend this for that reason. Now, if HPI suddenly tomorrow picks back up and their part support comes back and everything and they start doing well as a company, I would absolutely recommend this thing. But until that date, until that day where HPI either makes its comeback or completely goes out and somebody buys them up, I would have to say I would not personally recommend this truck due to that fact. It's a good truck, it's a good base, the part support just isn't there, and HPI being a shaky company at best is just not a good investment, I feel, for somebody to put money in to buy one of these, even at the $250 price tag. Well, I hope that's all the information you guys were looking for. I hope that was informative, and I kind of went over everything you guys would want to hear about this truck. If not, please let me know in the comments. But this truck is fun. I think I will just keep it, since if I tried to sell it, I probably wouldn't get any money for it anyways. And I have been thinking about getting the Traxxas Bigfoot brushed version to compare to this guy, because I hear that they're relatively similar in speed and everything. But go ahead and thumb up if you like this video, thumbs down if you didn't. Check out the description where you can get a Killer Off-Road Hobbies t-shirt, a new design that is cheaper, or if you want to get in on any ongoing or upcoming raffles, the link is in the description as well. This is Gary from Killer Off-Road Hobbies saying, everybody, you guys get out there, get an RC, go have some fun, and we'll see you right back here on the next video. Peace.